Hi, I'm Pam Hayes from Hayes Sewing Machine Company, Wilmington, Delaware, and welcome back. We are here today to do an in the hoop project. So if you have an embroidery machine and you kind of want to expand your horizons a little bit, this is a nice little project to do. What we're going to focus on today is making this little basket. It's all in the hoop. It has a little applique in the center. Then it's finished off at the end. It does eyelets, and then you tie ribbons in the corners to make it look nice. In where I'm getting these designs is from the Kimberbell, and it is the curated Citrus and Sunshine. And there are a lot of really cool projects. So the technique that I'm going to be showing you how to do today will work with the baskets, and you'll see them right there. One of the other ones that I've done is this one. So it's really cute. It has quilting all done in the embroidery machine. It does your buttonholes all in the embroidery machine, and it also gives you a program that you can make little freestanding leaves. Today, what we're going to focus on is you need to have a water-soluble stabilizer in the hoop, and then down here you're going to take it, and we'll see on the table you need some foam to give it some shape, and this is Soft and Stable by Annie's. Then you need whatever color you're going to do for your fabric, the box itself, and then these are the two I'm going to use for my applique for the lemon. So what you need to do first is you're going to hoop your material, your stabilizer. So this is a stabilizer that is a wash away. So with this particular one here, an example of it would be done by Sulky. It would be what they call Fabra Solvi. I like to do 2 layers, just be on the safe side. One sometimes not so good, so I always like to do 2. And I'm working with a bigger hoop because you don't have to work with a hoop this big. You have to work with a hoop that would be 8 by 8. So this one's a little bit bigger. This one is 10 5/8 by 10 5/8. So it's a little bit larger, but it'll work on an 8 by 8. When you are working with your designs, I'm working with a baby lock today, so I have downloaded into my machine your PES is what the format that you want to use. But this is a lovely multi-format, and it's on a CD. Sorry, USB stick for you. Traditionally they come on a CD and you would transfer them over. This one though comes already on the USB, and it also has all of your directions, which I would encourage you either to download onto your tablet so you have it, but I just tend to print them out. So it all depends on how you like to do it. Once you have placed your design that you want to do today in your embroidery machine, remember you're going to hoop, you're going to slide your embroidery hoop onto your machine, and mine is telling me it wants the carriage to move first, so we're going to let it get itself warmed up. There you go. It likes to do that so we can talk to it to make sure that everything is good. Now I'm going to put my embroidery unit on, and I'm going to select my design. So in your instructions, they are going to give you 2 different ones. They give you ones that will be for the tie, and then if you like, they also have a one that you hand sew buttons on, and it makes the your corners that way. If you're doing, you'll see where it says boxed corners. This particular one here, again, that's the one that has the buttons. It will be for a 5 by 7 embroidery. Flip the page, and the one that I'm going to be working on, there you go, is going to be the knot and you see how it's an 8 by 8, and it gives you all the dimensions that you're going to need for your different parts. The only thing that I did not do, you'll see in the first step, the lemon, which is going to be the applique fabric, they put a little glitz on it. So they're, but Kimberbell does what they call glitter sheet. I just didn't do that for that particular one. So, and you'll see how it gives you nice, clear, step-by-step instructions. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to stitch our straight stitch. So I have my pretty thread in the machine, and I'm going to be sewing with the yellow today for my design. So the first thing it's going to do, it's going to stitch a box on the stabilizer by itself. There is no fabric in here at the moment. And it's going to stitch all the way around. The next thing that I want you to do, I want you to take your foam. So again, I have my Soft and Stable by Annie's. I'm going to take and I'm going to place it over top of my straight stitch. Now they'll tell you in the pattern to tape it. You can tape it at this point. I'm not going to worry too much about it. This is not my first time I've done this. So I'm just going to gently have a hand on there, and it's just going to stitch it down. You'll see when it stitches it, when it did the first placement, it was a single straight stitch, and now you can see it's reinforcing that. It's doing like a triple stitch, and it's going to stitch all the way around. Right on top of where that straight stitch was. So you can see it's important that your foam is going to be there over top of that edge. And again, it's going to stitch all the way around. And it's mesmerizing to watch. All right, and it's coming back up the other side. Alrighty, there you go. All right, we are done. So now at this point, we're going to take, and we want to take the piece off, the hoop off of the machine. It's very important at this point, do not take the project out of your hoop, okay? Trust me, you'll only do that once. Now, at this point, I find a flat surface, and we need to trim around and getting rid of the extra for the foam. My favorite scissors to work with, you'll see how they're curved, so it's going to help me trim. And I'm just going to trim nice and close. Now, when you're working with trimming, you see how you just kind of keep the scissors flat. If you were doing this guy, okay, the one that has the buttonholes and you pull it up, you're going to have a lot of in and out when you're doing your trim. So it just depends on which one you're doing. So because we're doing the box that just has the ties on the corner, It's just a basic shape. So see, you want to try to have it on a fairly firm surface. Would not recommend doing this in your lap. I have in the past put a knee through my hoop and popped my design out. Not that you would ever do that, I'm sure. And we take. All right, and we are all trimmed. So at this point, we're going to take our fabric that we're going to physically use for the box, and I'm doing my teal color, and we need to put it onto the front as well as the underneath side. So yes, I am turning my hoop over. I'm placing my fabric down, and yes, I am getting tape. You basically are going to put your tape any type of tape will work. You know, I'm using Scotch tape here. Kimberbell sells a particular tape that they recommend. If you find that it's too sticky, you know, if you find that the tape that you're working with, you're afraid it's not going to release, put it on your clothing. Just kind of put it on your clothing to take some of the stickiness out, and then you're good. Okay? Now, flip it over, and then guess what? We're going to do the same thing for the top. Put some tape down. Okay, so tape, fabric, top and bottom. You're going to go back over to your embroidery machine, and you're going to slide it on. Now, something to be aware of when you're doing this, because you're taking your machine, the hoop off your machine a lot, be aware that sometimes your needle can come unthreaded because you're moving it backwards, you know, and you can push the thread out. Don't worry about it, just rethread the needle. All right, you notice I took a little peek underneath. In the process of putting the hoop on, you want to make sure that the fabric hasn't come undone. And I am just going to rethread my needle, and I'm good to go. So now what it's going to do is going to again do a straight stitch to hold the fabric down. So I lower my foot, and away it goes. It's just going to go, and you see how it just does a single straight stitch, and you'll notice I'm just petting my fabric just to make sure everything is a-okay. Alrighty, and look at that. Pretty easy. It does it twice. It's just making sure everything is nice and secure for you. Alrighty. Now this would also be a really good time to make sure that everything is hunky-dory underneath. And it looks great. I just wanted to make sure that, because it's really easy to stop now and correct any issue if your fabric has flipped or done anything strange. But other than that, it looks good. Now, on my next step is it's going to do the quilting. So if you take a look, you'll see how it has quilting in the center. All of our lovely shapes, okay? All of that is done next. You don't need to trim the material, not quite yet. Okay, so we're going to lower the foot. I'm using the same yellow color, so you don't need to worry about it. But at this point, if you wanted for some reason to do like a red or another color, this is where you would stop and change the color. Now, it's going to take about 7 minutes to stitch all this out. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Alrighty, take a look. It is all quilted. In 7 minutes, it did all of that pretty fast. Now you'll notice there is a blank or an empty space. Because remember, that's where the applique is going to go. Okay, so at this point, if you've done applique with your embroidery machine, this is going to be a raw edge applique. So what that means is it's not going to do a satin stitch or a blanket stitch around. It's just going to do a straight stitch. So if you were working with something that was very kind of loosely woven for some reason for your applique, you might want to consider putting something like stitch witchery or steam seam 2 or something on the back side. That way you could iron it and it would make it so it doesn't do any fraying. Okay. Today I'm not going to worry about it. And the lemon, I'm going to choose yellow. What a thought. Now, lower the foot. And remember, if you've done applique before, it does a straight stitch around for doing that. So this is for placement. So they want you to know where you need to run. All right, and I'm just going to take a little piece off of my bigger section. And there's the applique. So I'm simply going to line that up, lower the foot, and hit start again. Again, you can tape it. I'm just gently going to hold it. It's just a little bit. It's not going to sew for very long. All right. Super simple. So now at this point, we need to trim around the straight stitch. So I'm going to take my hoop off a little bit, and you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch, so you're not going to trim too close. Again, it's just a small little guy, so I was able to get it with my scissors. Now, very important, put your hoop back on. Your machine will yell at you if you don't. And then I'm going to hit start one more time. And what this is going to do is going to do the placement for my green leaf. And again, it's just a little itty bitty leaf. And it's right there, so it's very tiny. I take my fabric, place that over top, hit start. And again, we're going to stitch around. And there I go. Okay, so now at this point, again, same thing. We're going to take, and I'm going to cut around it, leaving about 1/8 of an inch. And if you need to take it off the hoop off the machine a little bit, get it a little closer to you, go for it. Yeah, it looks cute. All right, so now what we're going to stitch are the folds, basically. Okay, you're going to see where mine likes to fold up. Remember, we have foam in here. Okay, so we need to encourage it to fold. Okay, so what you want to do is it's going to do a straight stitch design, and you'll see what I mean. So again, I have my hoop reattached, and we're going to stitch, being I hit start, but the machine will do it. And you'll see that it's doing straight stitches going across. Again, if you wanted it a different color, feel free to change. I'm doing it with a color hopefully that you can see, so at least you get an idea of what it's doing. But again, you could have it the background color. That would be fine. And it's doing all the work for us. Again, this is going to help encourage your little bowl to actually, can you see how that straight stitch right there? That's what it's going to do. And it's going to do that on all the sides so that it will have something to fold against. And this guy takes about 2 minutes to sew, so no biggie. Alrighty, and we are done. Now, we need holes, right? Think about it. We need holes to put our ribbon in. Eyelets. So the machine is going to do that for us. So easy. Alright, lower the foot. Again, if you wanted to change color, now's the time to do it. And we're just going to hit start. So again, what it's going to do is going to do circles, matching circles for either side. So we have this eyelet on this side and then that one on there. And you'll see it stitch out in just a second. And it's going to do 8 of them. Catchily enough, we have 4 corners. Yay! Okay. So at this point, it's going to stitch around. You'll see it's going to, there's our eyelet. You'll see the eyelet hopefully right there. And then it's going to put its matching mate on the other side. So again, you have some place to put your ribbon through. For the ribbon, you don't need a lot. You need about 7 inches or so for each corner to do. I did mine at about 3/8 of an inch for the ribbon. Quarter, I'm sure would also be fine. Hint, it needs to go through the hole, you know, so you don't need to be anything very spectacular. So it's nice if you ever have those like little silly little bits of ribbon that's too much to toss, but what am I going to do with it? This would be a nice way to use it up. Now, once we're done doing the eyelets, that's then when we're going to trim the outside of the fabric. And you're going to trim it, remember, back and front. So you're going to trim both. So we're just going to let it finish up and do this, and I will be right back. Hi, welcome back. All right, so our eyelets are done. Okay, you see all of the circles were put in. You'll see what I mean by the straight going across for helping us for our fold. Now you'll notice I've trimmed it. So at this point, it is trimmed nice and even with the edge, and remember, do the back. Now at this point, we are going to slide our hoop back on, and this is the part that's going to kind of take the longest. This is going to be about 14 minutes to stitch all the way around the outside. So make sure again, whatever thread you want to use for going around the outside edge, have it top and bottom. And this is something, be aware that because we've been doing the quilting, it's going to be doing 3D and that type of thing. I have put my pretty thread top and bottom. Lower the foot and hit start. And I'll be back. All right, we are all done. So we have all of our stitching around the edge. Everything is complete. At this point, take it out of the hoop. We're going to take it out of the hoop and we're going to trim basically right along the edge. Okay, so trim nice and close. Okay? Then at this point, once we've done all of that, you're basically going to soak it. You want to kind of get rid of the stabilizer. So just a little bowl, water, soak it. I probably soaked mine for about 2 hours. You want it a little stiff because you don't want your, to flop over too much, but you want to have that. Now, what I have found successful in doing the eyelets, okay, she recommended a little pair of scissors. I had mixed results with that. Maybe my scissors weren't sharp enough. So, buttonhole cutter. And most buttonhole cutters have an eyelet, so it's a little hole. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this on a very firm surface. And kind of twist it a little bit. And see how it opens it up. And you're going to need to do that a couple of times because the eyelet's kind of bigger than you think. And then there you go. All right. You're going to do that 8 more times or 7 more times. The 8 total. So again, give it a soak. And then at that point, you're going to get your ribbon and you're going to feed it through and you're going to tie it. And congratulations, that's done. Now, for next time, in this same USB for your embroidery designs, it talks about putting a zipper in with your embroidery machine. And that's what we're going to discuss next time. See you later.